Hey everyone, and welcome to another Deep Dives. Today we are heading straight into the heart of the Roman Empire. Well, not literally, but close enough. We're diving deep into Rome.
That's right. We've got a stack of Wikipedia articles here ready to dissect.
And trust me, even if you think you know Rome, get ready for some surprises.
It's a city that's been layered over centuries, so many stories to uncover.
Yeah, we're talking ancient myths, gladiators, the Colosseum, all that jazz. But also, how the heck Rome survives in the modern world. Think traffic, think tourists. Oh, and those tiny little streets. Okay, so to kick things off, let's start basic. Where does the name Rome even come from? You'd think that'd be simple, right?
You'd think so, but even historians debate this one.
Really? I thought it was settled.
The most common theory links it to a word for river. Makes sense, right? Cities on the Tiber.
Yeah, that's what I always heard.
But there's the Etruscan connection, too. They called it Ruma. Big question is, did the Romans just adopt that, or was there some other route we've missed?
Huh. So even the name's a mystery. That's kind of cool. It's like we're already digging into secrets. And speaking of secrets, what about Romulus and Remus? You can't talk Rome without the wolf-raised twins, right?
Ah, yes, the classic founding myth. It's a powerful image, no doubt.
I mean, who doesn't love a good she-wolf story?
But we gotta be a little skeptical, too. It's probably more symbolic than literal, representing that wild, untamed origin story.
I always figured it was just a myth, like to make the city sound more exciting. But then I read about this astrologer, Lucius Tarucius. He actually tried to calculate the exact founding moment, like based on a horoscope.
Oh yeah, Tarucius, he even came up with a date. October 4th, 754 BC. Between the second and third hour, no less.
Wow, specific.
It shows how much we want certainty, even about the past.
Right, like needing an exact birthday for a city.
When in reality, Rome's origins are way more complex than anyone's story.
Okay, so we've got the mystery name, the maybe not so literal wolf story. But then Rome just explodes. It goes from villages to this massive metropolis, like over 1 million people by the 1st century AD. That's insane.
It really is. It's this unprecedented urban growth. And not just size, but the infrastructure too. Their engineering was mind-blowing. Aqueducts bringing in fresh water.
Yeah, the aqueducts are always what come to mind for me.
Sophisticated sanitation systems, even a fire brigade, the vigils, who also acted as police. They were like the ancient world's first responders, keeping the city running smoothly.
Wow, so they were already thinking about all those things back then.
Absolutely. It's what allowed Rome to function on such a massive scale.
But of course, not everyone had it easy. I mean, we're talking gladiators, the Colosseum, all this grandeur, but there had to be poverty too, right?
Of course, Rome's story isn't just triumphs. It's a mix of incredible achievements and very harsh realities for many people.
Yeah, like that contrast always hits me. You've got these massive monuments alongside people barely scraping by.
It's a reminder that history is never simple.
Okay, so we've got to talk about it, the fall of the empire. That's like the elephant in the room when discussing Rome.
Right, and it wasn't some sudden event, a single crash. It was a process, this slow decline with tons of factors.
When I think about it, it's always the aqueducts being destroyed in the 530s AD.
Oh.
It's just such a powerful symbol.
Oh, absolutely.
Imagine suddenly no water.
Yeah.
It must have been devastating.
It shows how even mighty empires are fragile.
Yeah, makes you think.
And how interconnected urban life is. Everything relies on those systems.
Right, and when they break down, well, that's not good. But even in decline, Rome didn't disappear. It was about to change again, become something totally new.
And what a change it was. Rome went from the center of this vast empire to, well, the heart of Christendom.
It's kind of wild how Rome just keeps reinventing itself. Like, it's got this whole new identity now. So when I picture medieval Rome, I'm thinking those amazing basilicas, all the mosaics, that incense smell. It doesn't exactly scream bustling empire anymore. Did the city actually shrink?
Yeah, you're picturing it, right? The population took a major dip. There were huge areas inside the Aurelian walls, totally abandoned. The sources talk about this contrast. The abitato, the inhabited areas, versus the disabitato, the deserted zones. Imagine walking through these neighborhoods, once packed with people. Now they're overgrown, quiet, almost rural even.
It's such a different vibe from ancient Rome. It's like a ghost city almost. But even smaller. It was still the big deal, right? It's where the Pope was. It's a ton of power.
Exactly. With the church in charge, the whole power dynamic shifts. The papacy is playing this delicate game, not just with the faithful, but with kings and emperors. And let's be honest, those medieval popes weren't exactly known for being chill.
Oh, tell me about it. The drama back then could rival any reality show. We're talking power struggles, popes getting exiled, even these anti-popes trying to claim the title. It makes you wonder what it was like actually living in Rome then. Were people just caught in the middle of all this?
Peaceful. Not so much. But amidst all the chaos, something amazing is brewing. The Renaissance. It's this burst of artistic energy, this rediscovery of classical art knowledge, and Rome is right at the center of it.
Ah, the Renaissance. Michelangelo, Raphael, Bramante. It's like they're all in Rome at once, transforming the city. Can you imagine Michelangelo up there painting the Sistine Chapel ceiling? It's mind-blowing.
And it's not just painting either. The Renaissance brings this wave of incredible architecture. St. Peter's Basilica, these palaces and squares that still define Rome today. It's a period of insane creativity.
Like the city itself was reborn, right?
Yeah.
With this new energy. But even during the Renaissance, Rome sees its share of trouble. Like the sack of Rome in 1527, that was brutal.
It was Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, who orchestrated it. It's a harsh reminder that even with all the art and progress, violence is never far away. Another example of those contrasts that keep popping up in Rome's story.
It's like Rome is this constant push and pull between grandeur and turmoil, beauty and harsh realities, and yet it keeps its identity, its importance on the world stage.
Exactly. And from there, it's a whirlwind. We go through the Baroque period, the craziness of the French Revolution, the fight for Italian unification. Each era leaves its mark on Rome, adding to its already complex story.
Okay, I need to catch my breath. We've gone from ancient Rome to medieval, then Renaissance. Now we're jumping ahead through centuries. So how does Rome handle all that? And where does it fit in with this new Italy?
Good question. You gotta remember, even after Italy unites in 1871, Rome's got this trickier relationship with the church. It's a city divided in many ways, struggling with its past, its identity, its place in a world that's changing fast.
Sounds like some serious growing pains. But it does become Italy's capital, this symbol of unity.
Right.
And then we hit the 20th century, and, well, Mussolini happens.
Yeah, Mussolini's impact is still visible in Rome. You can see it in the Iora district with its grand, almost imposing architecture. It was his attempt to create a third Rome, this symbol of fascist power.
It's a fascinating part of the city, even if it's controversial. Makes you think about how even the darkest times leave their mark. And then, of course, there's World War II. How did Rome handle that?
Well, compared to other cities in Europe, Rome was relatively lucky. It did get bombed. The attack on San Lorenzo in 1943 was devastating. But it was mostly spared the kind of widespread destruction that other capitals faced. Even so, the war had a huge impact, leaving its mark on the people and the city as a whole.
It's a reminder that no city, not even one as old and powerful as Rome, is untouched by global events. But then, after the war, there's this rebuilding, this sense of starting fresh. Italy's economy booms, Rome grows rapidly. But that kind of growth can be a double-edged sword, right?
Absolutely. Fast urbanization often brings problems, and Rome's no exception. We see these sprawling suburbs popping up, and often they lack proper planning and infrastructure. It's that classic tension between progress and preserving the city's character.
A dilemma so many cities face, especially ones with so much history. So here we are, 21st century. What's Rome like today? How's it dealing with all this?
Well, Rome today is this vibrant mix. It's a melting pot of cultures and traditions. You've got ancient ruins next to bustling piazzas, the echoes of the past mixed with modern life. But it also faces real problems. Traffic jams, pollution, the pressure of tourism, and that constant need to find a balance between preserving its history and moving forward.
Sounds like the Eternal City has some very modern problems. It's a good reminder that even a city steeped in history is always changing, always adapting. And that's part of what makes Rome so fascinating. It's not just a museum, it's alive, it's breathing, it's reinventing itself. So we left off with Rome, right on the cusp of the modern world. Facing those growing pains, trying to balance progress with preserving its past, and of course that shadow of Mussolini's legacy still looming.
Yeah, it's a lot for any city to handle. But through it all, Rome becomes the capital of this newly unified Italy. That had to be huge, like a chance to redefine itself for a new era.
Totally, it's like a fresh start, right? But then the 20th century hits. Not exactly known for being peaceful. 2 world wars, all these ideologies clashing, economies going haywire. How did Rome even survive all that?
Rome in the 20th century is like a reflection of what the whole world was going through. The rise of fascism, the horrors of World War II, and then figuring out what it even means to be Rome after all that.
We talked about the bombing of San Lorenzo during the war. Just awful. But it also sounds like the city had this incredible resilience, this will to pick itself up and keep going.
Exactly. That's a theme you see throughout Roman history, this ability to bounce back, to rebuild from almost nothing. And that's definitely true in the years after the war. Rome's economy takes off, the population explodes, there's construction everywhere.
But like we said before, rapid growth can create its own problems. Did Rome manage to preserve what makes it unique while all this is happening?
It's an ongoing struggle, even today. In the post-war years, you see these massive suburbs springing up, and often they're not well planned, there's not enough infrastructure. It's that tension between wanting progress, but also wanting to keep the city's soul, you know?
Yeah, it's a tough balancing act. Trying to honor the past while building for the future. So where does that leave us? What's Rome like now in 21st century? How's it handling all these layers of history, all the modern day issues?
Rome today. It's amazing, really. It's this blend of old and new. You've got ancient ruins right next to skyscrapers, bustling markets and peaceful parks all within a few blocks. It's a global city, drawing in people from all over.
And for good reason, right? There's just something about Rome. It's like this energy, you can feel the history soaked into the streets, but it's also a city dealing with some serious stuff. Traffic, pollution, the strain of all those tourists.
Yeah.
And always that question of how to preserve the past without getting stuck in it.
Yeah. You got it. Modern Rome is all about contrasts. The glories of its history alongside the very real problems of today. It's a city constantly changing, always adapting, finding its way, just like it always has.
It sounds like the Eternal City is living up to its name. This deep dive has been incredible. It's not just about learning facts and figures, it's about understanding the spirit of Rome, the forces that shaped it, the challenges it's still facing.
That's what's so fascinating, right? And it takes us back to that question. Is Rome about the physical place, or is it something bigger? Is it about the buildings, the ruins, or is it this idea, the spirit that survived for centuries? That's something I keep coming back to.
Me too. It makes you think. And it makes me want to go experience Rome for myself. But for now, we have to wrap up. This has been an amazing journey through time, and hopefully it's inspired you to keep exploring, to keep digging deeper into the stories that fascinate you. So for now, ciao.